All right. All right, so welcome to Army One Sales Training, and I'm really stoked to have everybody here. Before I get started, this is going to be very conversational, so at any point anybody has any questions, feel free to stop. Feel free to challenge. I'm totally okay with that. I think it's important to be able to, if you don't agree, you're allowed. Absolutely. One of the things that I'm going to recommend is take my information like spare ribs. You keep the meat and you throw away the bone. Okay. If you don't agree with what I'm saying, then don't apply it. But there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be layers that you're going to be able to apply and ultimately help sell and get more people on bikes, which ultimately that's what we want to do within a Pedego location is get more butts on bikes. But before I get started, I'd like to go around the proverbial Zoom room and just get a sense of who you are and how long have you been with Pedego. Now it's 58 now. It's no longer Emerald Isle, correct? It's Pedego 58. Okay. So Carly, how about for you? We'll start with you. How long have you been with Pedego 58, and how did you get connected?
So I started in March. I've been working at home, from home for quite some time while we had our kids and, they were growing up. And then basically just felt like a change. I started off in retail when I first left school and, kind of wanted to get back to it again and, I've been a mum for such a long time. I kind of wanted to just step out, do something different, learn something different and, get me back.
Good for you. How old are your little people?
I have a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 6-year-old boy.
17, 15, I'm sorry?
11 and 6.
I'm a furious note taker. Confucius say bad handwriting better than good memory. So it just helps me put and I recommend it, by the way. Even though I'm going to be taking notes and I'm going to be taking photographs of the notes and this is being recorded right now. It's to help accelerate learning. It's always good just to get that happening. So that's great. So how long have you lived in the Emerald Isle area?
So I've lived in Swansboro for 4.5 years.
Okay.
I lived in Massachusetts before that. So I've lived in the States since 2008 when I first came over. So so I've been here for quite some time. Got fed up with the snow, fancied a change. My husband works remotely, so we were just like, why not? So
good for you.
We came
Excellent.
here.
And what was the connection? How did you get connected with Pedego 58 and with Matthew?
So one of the neighbors, Karen, actually put something on her Facebook page, and I applied for the job. I knew of Kathy and Sunny, but I didn't know them that well. We just sort of seen each other in the neighborhood and everything. So I just, I liked the location. I go to Emerald Isle to the beach and stuff, but don't really spend any other time there. Obviously, the commute's fairly easy from where I am. The hours were good that I could work them around my kids and stuff. So,
right on.
Completely different to what, I knew absolutely nothing about bikes when I first started there. I was quite surprised how in depth they actually are.
Right. Yeah. Well, good. We're going to have some very good discussions, and I can promise you that, whether you're a bicycle expert or you're new to the Pedego experience, the things that we're going to be discussing these things are going to help you improve your sales game for sure.
Right.
How about you, Kathy? How long have you been working with Pedego 58?
A little bit over 1.5 years.
Okay.
I started up in New Bern when
okay, right on.
I started up there training so that I could open the store down here for Matthew and Steve.
Yeah.
Been here for when it was just Pedego, and then for the transition to Pedego 58.
Now, I'm curious, what what's been the difference other than the branding on the name of Pedego 58? What has there been any significant changes in terms of what you carry of like other brands, access to other brands? What is it? What's made the difference?
The 300 rental bikes.
Yeah, yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, so we went from, sitting around waiting for somebody to walk in the door and then telling them all about the Pedegos and selling them Pedegos, to sizing people on bikes and getting helmets and renting. How long are you going to rent? Do you want a 1-speed? Do you want a Pedego? Do you want a road bike? So
Right on.
it's bikes. But I mean, my first love is the Pedegos. So
Yeah,
that when I get somebody that comes in and says, tell me about the electric bikes, I just get a smile on my face that I don't have to deal with regular bikes.
got it.
That I can talk about Pedegos.
Good for you. What I'm just curious, and I'll ask this to about Matthew later. But what percentage of the business right now is rental versus sale?
A lot. You mean
Yeah,
renting the Pedegos or renting
just in
everything?
everything.
Oh yeah, it's much bigger on. Although Carly had a fantastic day a couple weeks ago. She had 2 groups come in and buy 5 Pedegos right off the floor. Literally 5 right off the floor. So
Nice.
that up against your rentals of the 1-speed cruisers.
Sure,
So that day, I'm sure that it was much more of a percentage for the Pedegos.
for
But
sure.
on a regular basis, I would say, yeah, it's a lot more for rentals.
Interesting. That's awesome. And we've got Shelly. Now, Shelly, I muted you for a quick second. I'm going to unmute you. I don't know if you can. I'm trying to unmute you, and now unfortunately I can't. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I apologize. It got loud in there.
No
I'm stepping out.
sweat. No, it's okay. So can you give me a little bit of feedback in terms of how long you've been with Pedego 58 and what your connection is?
What was that? Are you talking to me?
Yes, Shelly. Yeah, no sweat. How long have you been with Pedego 58, and how did you get started with them?
Okay, so I started in March, the same as Carly.
Okay.
I knew Kathy and Sunny just having met them in the neighborhood. We all live in the same neighborhood.
Okay.
And I knew that they worked at a bike shop. I didn't know anything about it. I had never heard of Pedegos. It was all new to me. Me and my husband had moved down here about a year ago from Massachusetts, and
Wow, sounds familiar.
yeah, didn't know Carly then.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we moved down here. We were, I guess, just gonna take a year off of working in the stressful, crazy life.
Good for you.
And then I was starting to get bored because I've been a mom for 26, almost 27 years, and my kids are grown. They're all in their 20s, but
Yeah.
I've just never, I had a job before, but I didn't want to do a stressful job. I just wanted something fun, and this sounded fun. So
Good.
And so far,
I love
it's been really enjoyable. I really like working there. It does get chaotic and crazy, but it is not stressful, or
Sure.
I don't ever dread going to work or anything like that.
Good. I love it. You're in the right place.
Yep.
You're in the right place. That's great. I'm going to assume that Matthew and Sunny are in the midst of chaos right now. Is that they are? Okay, no problem. So I'm going to ask a few questions that I may have to come back with because I before I delve into telling a whole bunch of stuff, I want to know, for everybody's sake, a little bit about everybody's background, because there's, selling, life in and of itself is a team sport. Even if you do individual sports, it's good to have a coach, and it's important for the coach to know a little bit about you and everything else. One of the things that I like to start with in terms of the curriculum is why. And if you haven't heard of this book called Start with Why by Simon Sinek, I highly recommend it. It's a great book. Probably the most impactful book that I read 2 years ago. And the why question I have for all of you watching is, why are you there? And why does this business exist? I think for Matthew, I mean, I can answer a couple of them. I think it's pretty obvious. First of all is there's opportunity, right? I think that's clear. And I'm going to just sidetrack a little bit. I'll tell you a little bit about myself and my why I'm doing this with you now. So, my name is Joe Marcoux. I am from Winnipeg, Canada. So I'm speaking to you from Canada, eh? So it's a pleasure to meet you all. I do say often, so if you catch it, you can just laugh, and it's totally fun. I started off in the health and fitness industry back when I was 18 years old, 30 plus years ago now. It's crazy. And I'm a father of 5, so we're the Brady Bunch. My wife, whose birthday it is today, actually, she has 3 and I have 2. So again, but I have 5 now, which is awesome. Ranging from 29-year-old daughter, twin boys, 27, another daughter of 24, and another daughter of 21. And our last young person actually just moved out this week. So we are officially empty nesters. It's bizarre.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's actually exciting. Yeah, we're officially cracking the champagne at the cabin on Friday night. Yeah. So I started off in the health and fitness industry as a store manager at the age of 18. At the age of 20, I opened up my very first high-end exercise equipment store, because all these years later, I still have this on my vision board, which the vision board has changed often, but this piece right here, you may not be able to read it, but it says, my mission is I want to inspire and empower people to live a better quality of life through the benefits of total health and exercise. You remember that because when I get to the electric bicycle portion of my history, it just makes total sense to my why. So I opened up a store. By the age of 25, I did a merger with another company called Fitness Depot in Canada, and I was store number 7, and we quickly went from 7 to 38 locations in 18 months. That happens through scaling, through systems, through a variety of things that I'm actually going to impart with you over the next few Zoom calls that we're going to do together. Learned a lot, sold the shares of my company, did very well, and I also left the company because I didn't agree with it just being all about money. There was more to it. The money is a measuring stick, and yes, it's a byproduct. I mean, I don't believe that it's, you need to be a benevolency organization. Like, if you're going to sell Pedegos, you're allowed to be profitable. That's just the way that life is. That's fair if you're providing value. But it wasn't the driving force. So from there, I went and worked for a bicycle company that had a fitness division called Bodyguard Fitness, and I was their national sales manager for 5 years. And Pro Cycle Group also owned Rocky Mountain Bicycles. Some people might know the name Rocky Mountain Bicycles. Anyways, I left them because they kept cutting my commission. 4 years out of 5, they cut my commission in half because they said, Joe, you're not allowed to make that much money, which makes no sense to me. If I'm making more money, so are you. So the win-win didn't make any sense. So I decided I'm going to move on. And I got headhunted by a company you might know. They're called Trek. You ever heard of them? So Trek had at the time a fitness division called Trek Fitness, and it became Trek Fitness became Vision Fitness. I was with them for 5 years. I was in charge of Canadian sales and special projects, doing sales training in Shanghai, Taichung, Taipei, and all over the top dealers in the United States and Canada. So amongst all of that, anyways, I ended up writing a book called Boutique Thinking in a Big Box World. Became a full-time sales trainer. I resigned and became a full-time sales trainer. Still have a relationship with the people at Johnson Health Tech who bought Trek Fitness / Vision Fitness. It's a long story. And then as a sales trainer, I got hired by a company called BH Bikes, but they had a fitness division. And I worked with them helping their fitness division. And then the president of BH Bikes said, this is 10 years ago, I want to show you something. And I'm like, okay, what's up? And he brings me to the warehouse and he gets me on an Easy Motion electric bike by BH. I'd never heard of an electric bike 10 years ago. And I'm like, what's an e-bike? And I honestly thought, what, a cheater bike? Like, what the hell, right? A lot of people still think that way. I got on the bike and I kid you not, I rode 20 yards and I was completely sold. And he said, listen, we're starting an e-bike division. I'd like for you to come work for us. And I said, okay. So I backed off on my sales training company, and I took on, and I started driving a van. I believed in the product so much, the idea of electric bikes. I started driving a van, going to visit bike shops. And I was told to get the F out of my store by so many bike shops 10 years ago, like track dealers, specialized dealers. All of these bike shops basically said, nobody's going to ride e-bikes. So I'm just going to mute a couple people here so that we can, there we go. Everybody can still hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So all this to come back to, I work in the e-bike industry for a long time, and what ended up happening is more people were getting better results in terms of their health and wellness than I ever saw in the fitness division. Because let's face it, nobody ever says, you know, hey, Carly, come over to my house and try my new treadmill. Like nobody says that. However, you got to, hey, neighbor, hey, friend, hey, family member, try this out. Just try this. And as long as people get on it, they're already becoming more and more pre-sold. And so I ended up seeing that my mission that I talked to you about earlier, my why, one of my very many whys, so I have more than one, I saw an opportunity to be able to help people. And the same people that I was selling treadmills, ellipticals, and home gyms back in the 90s are the same people today that are buying Pedego electric bikes or electric bikes in general. The difference is Pedego's got a very unique story to tell. And so I got hired by Pedego, and now I'm a preferred vendor by Pedego. So the Pedego dealer hires me because I'm a believer that those that pay attention. So in this case, Matthew has hired me, and then Pedego will subsidize Matthew with free product as long as you are very satisfied with how the training goes over the next few days. And otherwise, I give Matthew his money back because I give 100% money back guarantee. And knock on wood, I'm good. I've never had to give anybody their money back. So I'm hoping that that's going to be the case with you, and I'm pretty confident that we'll have a lot. Either way, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of laughs. So it comes back to, what is your why? Why are, like, Carly, for you, why are you there? Is it just because you wanted to have a new retail experience and you want to have some fun with that? Which is fine. There's no wrong answer. Just we're going to talk as a team.
It originally it was just to get back out there and, you know, get my confidence back and try something different. But now it's, I didn't know anything about electric bikes before I started there. I didn't know anything much about bikes in general. I ride a bike, but I don't take note of any of the components of how bikes put together and stuff like that. So to me, it's been interesting just to learn, you know, how much is in a bike, and then on the other side you're learning the whole new thing with the electric bikes and stuff. Again, at first I couldn't quite understand it, but then when you talk to different people and stuff, you can understand why, you know, they are important to, you know, certain people in particular, people that have had, you know, injuries or surgeries, or people that are older and stuff like that. And, you know, they want to go further, you know, especially on the island, they want to go further and explore and stuff, but they're worried about how they're going to get back. So they have that comfort there with them. So to me, every day Pedego is different. It's fun. And, you know, I like getting to know everyone's different stories when they come in. Most people will come and be quite open, and, you know, if they're interested in the Pedegos in particular, they'll sit and, you know, tell us about, you know, why they're interested in it and stuff, and you kind of learn from that experience.
Excellent. So what I heard from you is you obviously have retail experience. You're definitely a people person. You love to learn. Learn from just the technology standpoint, but also learn about people, which is great.
Right.
So that's and then for you, Kathy, what are some of the reasons why you're working at Pedego 58?
It started out with Joe's brother-in-law, or Matthew's brother-in-law, Joe Buck.
Yeah, I met Joe.
Yeah.
Pedego Joe.
Yeah, I was friends with Joe first.
Okay.
Was the one that kind of recruited me and said, you got to meet my brother-in-law, they're blah, blah, blah. So I met with Matthew and, I had just retired. I was a FedEx carrier for 32 years and I had just retired and they were, well, why don't you come work for us? And I was like, well, what part of retirement don't you understand?
Yeah, good for you.
But they said, you got to try these electric bikes. And just like I said, as soon as you get on them, you're sold. You're just, but
That's key.
What's so important about an electric bike and all that. So I was a little hesitant, but as soon as I rode them the first time, I was absolutely, I said, these are going to be easy to sell. They're a lot of fun. And my big thing is taking somebody that comes in here now that we have the regular cruisers and having them say, yeah, we just want to rent a regular cruiser. And I talk them into getting onto a Pedego.
Yeah.
And getting that to me is like, it's a challenge to me, to get them from
Yeah.
a single speed cruiser on, just try the Pedego and then go from, well, why don't you rent it for a week and see what you think about it, and then talking them into buying it once they're super excited about having it there for,
That's great.
It's like, it's just taking baby steps and like getting them a little bit, kind of like reeling them in, I guess, a little bit at a time.
I'm going to, I'm just making a note. I'm going to send to Matthew after the call my renter to buyer transition script. It'll be something that you'll have access to tonight, and then and again, I like having scripts because it's just a reference point. A lot of times, I'm bouncing around here real quick, and I'm coming to you, Shelley, in a quick second here. I'll unmute you in a moment. One of the things that I find interesting in the rental space in a lot of the stores is people end up telling and they're not selling. What I mean by that is, and I'll pose it this way, have you ever noticed that when somebody asks you a question, it hooks your mind? You ever notice that? Like I just did it. Like I asked you the question and I've reeled you in. What happens in the Pedego, most, and I'm not saying it happens with you because I don't know, but my experience, and I've visited over 100 actual physical Pedego locations over the last 2 years. And in the last 10, I've been to over 1,000 different bike shops doing sales training. So I've seen a lot of people that they do rentals, and then people come back from a rental and they go, hey, by the way, how did the day go? And the person says, oh, it was great. And instead of selling them, they say, well, if you want, we'll apply the rental fee to the purchase of the bike. And if you live out of state, we'll save you the state tax. And they're just telling them, and then people just go, oh, well, okay, thanks. And the rental script you're going to see is a way to be able to capture their imagination. It's a great book that if you like the idea of influence, and again, it's not manipulation, it's influence. And the book is actually right here. Fun read, really fun read. It's called Mind Reader by Lior Suchard. And he's a mentalist. He's got shows in Vegas. He's been on a whole bunch of late night TV and whatnot. And I mean, this is a type of fun stuff that he does. He'll, through the power of words and influence, he'll have already pre-written a number, for example, in an envelope, but he'll get people to guess what it says in the envelope. And and based on just having conversation, he's getting them to say it. As somebody who's in sales, I find that fascinating. So of course, this was one of the many, and I mean, I've got a big bookshelf and whatnot, but I find that this is an example of there's something that's really cool that when applying words like imagine and now, your subconscious mind picks up on a lot of this stuff. So when somebody comes back from a rental, Kathy, in your world, I would say, hey, how did the bike go? And they say, oh, it was great. Oh, great. So you had a fun day? Yeah. And everything was good with the bike? And they say, yeah, it was. And then you subtext tell them, yeah, of course. I mean, they're very, very reliable. And I'm curious, can you imagine riding one of these back home? And the answer is yes or no. If the answer is yes, great. Now I'm going to share. I'm going totally off topic, but you brought this up, so now I'm going for it. So too bad. It's the way that I'm going to do things once in a while. So in this context, we would go to the, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so I've got a flow chart that you're going to receive, right? So can you imagine writing one of these back home? Wouldn't that be awesome? It's a yes or no question. If it's no, no problem. Take their money, really appreciate you. Hopefully you've got an email follow-up that will automatically keep in touch with them so that they can come back sometime or refer a friend or potentially change their mind and make a purchase. But if their answer is yes, can you imagine writing one of these back home? Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah. Then you put together the irresistible offer. And so you can ask, well, where did you visit today? And you start, oh my God, my wife's birthday. Thank you. I love you. She brought me a coffee. Oh my God. She's a goddess. I am honestly the most blessed man on the planet. I love you. Oh, so good. Sorry. I was totally, totally off the cuff. Anyways. So you make the irresistible offer. And what's, I just off the call with Pedego Santa Rosa, Kathy, do you know that when you ship a bike out of state, that the person who rented or took a tour with you doesn't pay any tax, state tax? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the folks at Pedego Santa Rosa didn't know that. And this is powerful because if, one of the questions I would ask is, so imagine if I could, again, instead of saying, by the way, we apply the rental cost to the purchase of the bike, it's imagine if I could apply the rental cost to the purchase of the bike. Like if I could apply the rental cost to the purchase of the bike, would that interest you? I'm just, again, bringing them in and getting them to reflect or imagine the idea. And then again, using 2 power words. And again, this is based on Mind Reader. Now imagine. Now imagine. So I'm getting them to, right now, imagine if I could also save you the shipping cost of $200. And then what state are you from? And let's say they're, northern, like Minnesota, which is right below me. So yeah, we're from Minnesota. So what's the state tax in Minnesota? And they'll answer that. And I honestly don't know what the state tax is, but we could find out on Google real quick. And so let's say it's, I don't know, 5%. Well, on a typical Pedego bike of $29.95 plus accessories, when you add state tax, $200 shipping, and applying the rental cost of the day or whatever hours, that's easily going to be $350 or more. So if somebody said to me, and anyway, so I'm going to share this script with you guys. I'll email you that. If somebody said to me, coming from out of state, well, you know what? I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy my bike locally. I'm from Minnesota. I'll buy it from somebody in Minneapolis, which is totally fine. What do you think, Kathy, in your opinion, the odds are that they're actually going to go to a Pedego store and buy a Pedego electric bike? What do you think the odds are?
Oh, I think the odds would be very low, but I have a question for you, just backing up a little bit, though.
Go for it. Yeah.
Why would you take no for an answer? If you said to them, could you imagine riding this at home, and they said no, why would you just leave it at that and end the transaction?
Usually, and that's a very good question, and I'm a big believer in handling objections. Usually when people are in a rental location just like yours, you're busier than a one-legged person at a butt kicking contest. So you've just got to, you're shucking oysters. Is there a pearl in here? Then I can work with it. If not, because it's like bringing the horse to water. I mean, if you have the time and if we want to, like we're going to talk about developing the skill set to go from a no to a yes, I love it. And I'm all over it because the truth is, you're going to hear no 5 times before you get to a yes. That is the average. So I'm all over it. And I totally appreciate where you're coming from. So is the script that I've given you a definitive, it's always no and that no, it's just information. And like I said, take my information like spare ribs, keep the meat and throw away the bone. And I appreciate the fact that you're bringing that up because I love it. Because most people, Kathy, I kid you not, the emotional resilience that they have is unfortunately very low, and they're afraid to take the no, and they take it personally. And one of the things that we're going to be discussing in a future call, in a couple of calls from now, is called the SOS, the Sales Objection System. And I have a thing that I do with people outside of the bicycle industry. I get people coming in what I call the SOS, the Sales Objection System Dojo. So they come in with Joe into the dojo. It's like mixed martial arts, it's training, but we do 30 minutes a week. People pay me a monthly fee to come into my sales training gym, exactly what you're talking about, practicing their emotional resilience with a variety of different objections. We as a group are going to do this just here for specifically to the objections that you typically encounter. But again, I'm not going to get ahead of myself that far. But I wanted to share that rental script with you because you got into it and it's part of your why, which I dig it. And I love the fact that you're not afraid to influence someone and help persuade someone based on the fact that you love the Pedego experience, right? That's a powerful why. It's like you believe in the product big time. And that to me is a powerful why, which is excellent. And that's an opportunity. Shelly, I'm going to unmute you. And maybe you can, there you go.
Yes, hello.
Hi. Shelly, what are some of the reasons why you're working over at Pedego 58?
Like I had said before, I was just looking for something fun to do. And since we live in a vacation environment, I did want to do something working with vacationers because that just seemed fun to me. And
Yeah.
to help someone's experience on their vacation be fun, you know, that's just a great feeling to me, just knowing I'm helping make their vacation more enjoyable. And, you know, riding bikes, if that's something that is going to make their vacation more fun, then that just sounded like somewhere I wanted to be. So
That's great.
and I do love the Pedego bikes. Like I said, I didn't know anything about them before, but knowing about them now,
Yeah.
they're so much fun that I'm considering getting one myself. So
Good for you.
yeah.
Good for you. Is it, as an aside, ladies, because there's no gentleman on this call other than myself. Which is, by the way, just as an aside, there's two asides here. Number one, the fact that there are so many women that are in this company, like this Pedego 58, is I find absolutely freaking awesome. The male domination that exists in my career as far as fitness equipment retail, exercise equipment, or health clubs, and in the bicycle industry is mind-boggling. And we're going to talk. We're going to create a customer avatar coming up, and I just think it's fantastic that there's 3 women on the call. I truly do. I think it's great. We need more women in the bike industry. We need more women in the e-bike industry because you have something that I can never do, and that's relate with other women. Like, I mean, it's just, there's no way that if somebody is unsure of themselves on 2 wheels, that I'm going to be able to do it as well as you 3 can. There's just absolutely no way. And this is where guys, and I will raise my hand, we need to drop our ego. And hopefully this recording, there's other people that are going to see it later. We need to drop our ego, guys, so that we can allow the people that are going to relate to their why, and we're going to talk about the customer in a sec, so we can get them on bikes. It's critical. So that's awesome. And I'm happy to hear that you want to help people, Shelly. That's great. It's awesome. These are things that drive you, to work harder. And in Kathy's experience, it's why we may not necessarily take no for an answer, at least the first time around. So this is powerful. We're going to be coming back to this, which is great. I love it. I want to share with you a story about actually a store that I visited, a Pedego store 2 years ago that I visited on the East Coast. And it's just the power of belief. Your why will drive your belief. And when you believe, you end up having more power. And I want to share something based on the fact of what I'm already picking up of your location. I walk into the store, and first of all, they were expecting me we had set up this appointment at 1 o'clock. They weren't on time. They showed up late, an hour late, so the manager and owner of the store showed up an hour late. And then the phone rang, and I could tell that they didn't want to answer the phone. The manager's reaction was, Yeah. Okay. Found that bizarre. They answered the phone. They hung up. It was a solicitor trying to sell them something. And then I queried. I said, so I'm curious. I could tell that you didn't want to answer the phone. What was going on? And this manager of the store said, well, for the last several months, we've had nothing but problems with Pedego bikes coming out of the box. And the words they used were the quality's just gone to garbage. It was something different than that they said. But anyways, and I went, interesting. I said, let me ask you, do you have technicians here that can resolve these problems that you're having? And the answer was, oh yeah, we have a great technician. I said, okay. I said, does Pedego provide you excellent support? Like, can you get parts on time and can you speak to technicians very quickly? Oh yeah, absolutely. We're like, we can deal with it. I said, when was the last time you actually sold a bike? 3 months. 3 months. The belief that this person had, it's all mindset. The belief was all of the quality control was garbage, and I'm afraid to talk to people about handling the problem. If you flip that and you go, hey, you know what? I have an opportunity to shine here, which is why you're buying a bike from this particular dealership. So from Pedego 58, I can see behind you, Kathy, you've obviously got a great service department. I can see it, right? Or at least a piece of it. And so I think that's important, because if you believe in the staff and the team that you have power, and that power sets yourself up for success. The other aspect of it, and again, I've worked with other bike and fitness companies in my career. I can honestly tell you, and I am not a Pedego employee. I am not paid by Pedego. I do sales training for other aspects of life, not just the bicycle industry. I do a lot with Pedego stores, mind you, but with Pedego stores that hire me, I'm not paid by Pedego. I've been to Pedego headquarters, and I can tell you what, the level of care that they take, like to you guys, and is mind-boggling. Other manufacturers will take bikes that come in from Asia. Out of a container, they'll take one bike out of the can and they'll test it. If the bike is good, they ship it out. Now, I know just a couple years back, Pedego would take every bike out of the box, rebuild it, ride it, put it back into a bigger box, and ship it to the dealer. Since COVID, and obviously with the supply challenges, they've been changing that, but they randomly select more bikes than anybody else, just to ensure that the quality control at source is still better. Now, one of the things that happens is when you take a box and you lift it up on a forklift and it goes in a truck all across the nation, and it changes trucks to get to where you are probably 5 times, unless you're buying a large quantity of bikes. That's the beauty of having the people that you have on your team. When you can believe, and believe me when I say this, when you can believe in the people that you have, and is it Sonny who's the service tech?
No, he's the manager here.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Who's your service technician?
Right now?
Yeah.
This
Matthew? Hey! Okay. All right.
Harry's around here somewhere.
A lot. Got it. But nonetheless, I mean, so you have people that have the experience to be able to, resolve and troubleshoot. And then Pedego corporate, like the level of service that they offer a Pedego dealer is unprecedented. And other brands, and I'll give you an example. There's a guy who's at Pedego Tucson and Pedego Mount Lemmon. He's the service manager. His name is Jesus. Jesus was in charge of specialized service tech training for all of South America. And he left because it was all about dollars and cents. And he started brewing his own kombucha, like completely outside of the bicycle industry. He walks into a Pedego location, meets James, and falls in love with the idea of building community, having fun, and still being able to service the hell out of people, which it's not just about money. The money becomes the byproduct of what we do, of the why. And I'll tell you what, you want to talk about powerful belief. Start following Pedego Tucson on Instagram. They do Testimonial Tuesday, Wellness Wednesday. They have Service Tech Tip Thursday, and like they're having fun, and they're providing value, and they believe in what they're doing, and it's powerful. So I just wanted to share with you the power of belief. There's no question in my mind that Matthew believes in what he's doing, and he's obviously assembled a great team, which is outstanding, and so, you know, terrific. I just wanted to share that with you, and we're going to move on into the next piece, which is play your A game. And then we're going to get it into our target customer. Play your A game, I think, is really important, and I'm going to hold this over. Again, everybody, we're going to get copies, photos of this when I send it off to Matthew. What I mean by play your A game, and I'm using different colors. I don't know if it's coming up on screen, but it's a pathway to accelerated learning. I learned this from one of my coaches many, many years ago. Play your A game. What I mean by that is we know that in sales, highest energy wins. You have to play with high energy. If you come to the game, hey man, you got to try my Pedego electric bike. It's really awesome. And I'm just too cool to get excited about it. You're not going to play. That's not playing your A game. It just doesn't work for me, and it doesn't work for what Pedego stands for. Playing your A game, though, the first step of playing the A game is acknowledge. This is huge. Shelly, do you mind unmuting yourself? I'll ask you this question, and then I'll ask
Yeah,
Carly.
I'm driving right now, but I can talk for a minute.
Okay, cool. Well, Shelly, let me ask you, have you ever gone into a retail store and been ignored?
Yeah.
How did that, all right. How did that make you feel?
I'll be honest, I'm one of those people when I shop, I kind of want to be ignored. And then when I need someone, I want them to pay attention to me, but I don't like the really out there salespeople. I want to be acknowledged. I want to be acknowledged and said hello to, but then I want to be left alone. And then when I need them, I want them there. So
love it. Love it.
That makes sense.
I'm 100%, and I'm smelling exactly what you're standing in. And it smells beautiful because where I'm headed with this, you're gonna dig it. So it's great. Kathy, how about yourself? You ever go into a place of business and been ignored, and how did that make you feel?
Yeah, I'm on the same board with Shelly. I like somebody to acknowledge that, you know, I'm there, and that, you know, if I need anything, to let them know.
Yeah.
I truly like to be left alone.
Awesome.
Look at this, look at this, you know.
No, I'm with you. Awesome. How about you, Carly?
I was going to say exactly the same. I like to be acknowledged, but I don't like to feel like I'm being harassed. If I feel like I'm harassed, I'm out.
Good stuff. One of the things about playing your A game that I'm going to suggest is, and here's what I mean by playing my A game, because I agree with you wholeheartedly. If I go into a place of business, if it's a department store, I can't remember the last time I've been into a department store, but if I go into a specialty store and I'm at least not acknowledged, like just say hello, or, you know, recognize that my presence is there. I kind of go like, what the hell? Like, and I know I have higher expectations, like because I do this for a living. So it's kind of like, come on, man. This is how I would say, again, and you're going to hear me. We're going to share a PowerPoint presentation with you in a future call. And I'm going to talk about the different levels, the percentages of communication. It's called Moravian's Law of Communication. And the law is 7% of the way that we communicate is through words. 38% of the way we communicate is through tone of voice. So this is a musical instrument, as we well know. And 55% of the way we communicate, which is why Zoom is so great, it's body language. So I can be in the middle of a conversation with you, and somebody walks into my store, and without saying a word, in the middle of the conversation, I can look over and go, just like that, and I've acknowledged their presence. Just this, not this finger, right? And it's like, right? Just be careful with the finger you use. So it's like I'm in the middle of a conversation with you, and I'm going to be, and I can just say, without saying a word, and just go like this and get thumbs up, and I can still deal with you, finish with you, and the person who's come in, they've been acknowledged, and I think at least for myself in my experience, I will provide people enough time to deal with the customer that they're with and then get the help if I want it. And I think that we're all on the same page on that. However, if I walk in and I'm not at least acknowledged, or it's simple as, and personally my approach, by the way, is even if I'm not busy in the store, if for some reason the store's dead and somebody walks in, I don't jump all over them because I'm with you. The last thing I want is like, hey, you're in my bubble. Like give me some space. So I could be behind the desk. I could be wiping bikes down. It doesn't matter. Somebody walks in. Hey, folks, be with you in a quick moment. That's how I acknowledge and I let them know I'm going to be with you in a quick moment. And just as an aside, by the way, which is very important, I worked with a company called the Forzani Group. They were at the time Canada's largest sporting goods retailer. They were running into a huge problem with theft. They had people coming in taking accessory items off their walls. And the Forzani Group had Nevada Bob's Golf. They had Sport Check. They had a variety of different sporting goods stores in Atmosphere, Hockey Experts, all of that. And people were coming in stealing small items. But when you acknowledged somebody and you would say, folks making out okay? Yeah, we're good. You know, the classic just looking, no problem. Somebody come back and check up on you in a quick moment. Again, I'm coming back to some of the neuro-linguistic programming stuff that we're going to dig into a little bit later. When you tell somebody, hey, feel free to have a look around. My name's Joe, and if you have any questions, just give me a shout. That's all well-meaning. But this is the problem that a lot of salespeople end up getting into. They end up lying to the customer subconsciously. We're all well-meaning, but when somebody comes in and says, hey, folks, I'll do it in a quick moment, and they say, oh, I'm just looking. Oh, no problem. My name's Joe. Have a look around. If you have any questions, I'll come and help you. And then 2 minutes later, they're looking at a Ridge Rider. And then Joe walks up and says, yeah, that's our Ridge Rider. And Joe starts talking to them about the bike. Subconsciously, because Joe earlier said, have a look around, and if you have any questions, just call me. My name's Joe. Well, they never called Joe, so Joe goes over anyways 2 minutes later because it's quiet. And if I engage in a conversation, I started that relationship on a lie. That's fact, which we've all agreed we don't want them to do that. So if you start the conversation with, hey, folks, be with you in a quick moment, give them a few, 10 seconds feels like forever for some people, but here's 5. It's some people actually can't stand silence. It's okay. Let them walk around and smell the store, see colors of the bikes, and then it's okay. First, and I like to ask questions. I'm not even asking them about the bikes yet. So, but if they say, I'm just looking around, then feel free to look around and I'll come back and check up on you in a quick moment. What ended up happening with the Forzani Group, they ended up dropping shrinkage by 20% based on one statement. Somebody will come back and check up on you in a quick moment. And then what happened as well is sales rose because people were engaging in a conversation and the subconscious mind wasn't picking up that they were being lied to. That's playing your A game with acknowledge. And I'll share with you my first 3 questions that I like to ask anybody who's coming in the store. I'm getting ahead of myself, but this is the first 3 that I would ask every time. Question number 1, after I've acknowledged and given them a few moments to check out the store, I'd say, so first time in the store? First time here, right? Question 1, it's a yes or no question. And some sales trainers disagree that you shouldn't ask a closed question. You should ask something that is irrelevant of how's the weather out there? And listen, I want you to be authentic. So if you have a template that is teachable and measurable, that's important to me. And that's the whole purpose of this. So first time in the store, if they say, yeah, awesome. Yes to the next question. How'd you hear about us? And by the way, if you don't have one of these yet, get some. More than one person in the store should have them. and you want to just, every person that walks in, you want to measure it. You want to measure the amount of people that walk in the door. You want to measure how many people are either renting and or test riding bikes. And then you want to measure the amount of people that are buying bikes. Because if you can measure it, you can grow it. We went from 7 stores to 38 because we measured our metrics. And they were very, I mean, this is not rocket science. It's a clicker. $6, right? Canadian. So that's like $3 US. It's like cheap. So you count the number of people coming in the door, and then you ask them, how did you hear about us? And then what you do, and I'm going to share my screen again. I'll share you this. Can you see this Excel spreadsheet? Yeah? Give me a thumbs up if you can see that. Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, all this is you can print it off on paper for every month if you want to, or you can keep it up, and I'll make sure I send this over to Matthew as well. So it's the DM tracker. And the idea behind the DM tracker is simple. Your first 3 questions are measurables. First time in the store, if they say no, awesome. They're either a be back, right, or they're a repeat customer. Great. So, well, who were you dealing with last time? I was dealing with Kathy. Oh, let me go get her. Now, I'm not going to get in the way of Kathy. Kathy's already built a rapport with somebody, so perfect. Is it your first time in the store? First question, yes. Awesome. How did you hear about us? If they say, saw you online. Ladies and everybody else who's hopefully watching this recording, the last time I checked, the internet's a pretty big frickin' place. So online doesn't cut it. Ask for specifics. Well, where online? And if they say Google, great. What were your search words? Because Matthew is spending money, which is profit dollars, and we want to be able to make sure where people are coming from. Was it Facebook? Was it Instagram? I mean, I don't know. And so this is simply a daily metrics tracker that you can count the number of people that are coming in, and then the total number of test rides that you get, and you cross-reference it with sales. And then your third question that you would ask is, have you ever ridden a Pedego before? Because based on what you've already shared with me, right, we believe in the product. It's an opportunity. It's a great way to have some fun, because e-bikes are like, they're ridiculous fun. And Pedego builds an electric bike that is completely unique. So, and when I go, first time in the store, how do you hear about us? Have you ever ridden a Pedego before? And somebody says, no, game. And I go, never? Oh my God, this is going to be so much fun. Just for fun. And it's just for fun is so important. I'm writing it down, by the way. Just for fun. Just for fun, come with me. Don't ever ask anybody, do you want to try one? Because we're programmed as human beings to say no. So when somebody says, I'm not test riding, hey, it's just for fun. Anyways, I'm going first. Come on, come with me. Like, you got to get excited about it, because we know what's coming up. If somebody's never ridden a Pedego before, what happens after they start to ride? What is their reaction? Carly, what do you hear when somebody takes a Pedego out for like 10 yards?
Usually them screaming with excitement as they go past the store.
Right.
Yes, usually all you can hear is them squealing as they're going past, and then you see them up and down the bike path. And that's it.
Right. And they have this. If 55% of the way that we communicate is this, we know that after we say, hey, you know what, just for fun, come with me.
Right.
This is critical because, and it leads me to this question. I'm basing this on Pedego. However, this could be applied to every bicycle that you have in the store. Is Pedego the only electric bicycle brand that you carry? Okay. So this is purchase or $ on first visit. In your experience, from 0 to 100 people, how many people out of 100 people actually buy a Pedego on their first visit? There's no wrong answer. I'm just curious what your numbers are. Carl, you go first.
I haven't got a clue. I mean, obviously
It's
this
okay.
part is all new to me anyway. I mean, from most people that want to buy a Pedego have usually from my point of view, I think that they've rented them. Like the sales that I've had, it's people that have rented them before
Okay.
and then gone home and done their research and
Got
then come in and want it. Yeah.
Love it. That's great. If you were to put a number, so the numbers, and I will tell you, I know what the national average is based on visiting over 100 stores. And now due to COVID, the national average has gone up because people that are coming in as serious buyers. Okay.
Right.
However, it's not a big number. It's not even, it's nowhere near 50 out of 100.
Right.
It's a lot less. It's a lot less. Kathy, what's your experience? There's no wrong answer. I'm going to share with you something that's going to help bump up the number.
Yeah, I would guess it would be more like 25%.
That's huge. That's awesome. That's huge. Okay. What do you think, Shelly?
I haven't sold one yet, so I don't know.
All right. We're going to change that. Let's assume that it's 25%, which is honestly a great number. The national average back in December, this is pre-COVID, was 5. Like, to go from 5 to now, let's say for you it was always 25. There's a couple things that are important to recognize here. It's still, again, this is on first visit sales. If you have a 25% closing rate, or 1 out of 4, it still means that 75 people are walking out of 100. That's critically important. And that means follow-up is also critically important. The problem is follow-up takes time, and you're already busy in your urgent quadrant with Kathy's going, yeah, right? You got things happening. So this is important to realize. Anyways, let's come back to this for a quick sec. Out of 100 people that come in the store, how many test ride? And I'm going to say test ride an electric bike. We're going to test ride a Pedego. I'm not saying that they're getting on an acoustic bike. And I call bikes that aren't electric, I call them acoustic. It's like you have an acoustic guitar and an electric guitar. I like to, because I play guitar, so of course, hey, acoustic guitar. So it's an acoustic bike or regular bike versus an electric bike. So how many people actually get on a Pedego out of 100 people that come in the store? Because we know that the only way that you're actually going to sell them is, I coined the phrase Bob. You need more Bobs. Bob stands for butts on bikes. You get more Bobs, you get more sales. If they ain't bobbing, they ain't buying. That's period. We know this. So the question I have is, what's the metric currently in terms of actual Pedego test rides that you get out of 100 people? Carly, do you want to guess? No wrong answer. Just curious.
I don't know. I mean, Kathy, that's Kathy. I mean, Kathy will get anyone on a bike. I mean, people can come in to change a tire and Kathy's got people out on the Pedegos.
I love you, Kathy.
Kathy's got more experience than us, and we're kind of like watching her from a distance and trying to take that on board. I'm getting better.
Good for you.
I could still do more. I could get more people on there. I think I'm sometimes a little bit too hesitant, and I don't like to feel like I'm forcing them. But Kathy will just start a conversation and stuff, and before you know it, there's like 16 people out there waiting a turn.
Kathy, love it. It's awesome. So Kathy, I'll ask you then, you know what, Carly, I absolutely love the fact that you're open to compliment your team. It's just great. And Kathy, good for you, because butts on bikes is critical. So in your experience, I'm just going to share with you some information. And again, take it like spare ribs, keep the meat, throw away the bone. What's your experience? Out of 100 people that come in, how many of them get on the bike?
Matthew, would you go with me? Would you say that I get about 75% of the people that I
Great number.
They come in asking about. Yeah, and about 30% of the people who come in for a tube and tire.
That's great. 100% so important. I love it. It's getting me to think about something, but and I don't want to digress. So this is great. So did I hear 65%?
or 75% of people.
That's awesome number. That's huge. That's great. Pre-COVID, the number that I heard was between 40 and 50%. If your number is 75, obviously there's still room for improvement, which is great. But this is way above the national average, which good for you. We know that if we influence this number, even to go from 75 to 85, just by doing this, you'll go from 25 to even 30. Like I'm not going to say you're going to go from 25 to 50. You'll influence this number by influencing this number. So you have to get butts on bikes to do it. And my suggestion is, even if somebody comes in with a tire, tube, hey, you know what? Just for fun, I'd love to get your feedback. Come with me. And bring them and walk out. Just for fun, come with me. That's the beauty of the I used to say just for fun for people to get them on treadmills. Nobody wants to get on a treadmill. It was doctor ordered, right? They were doing it because they want to lose weight. But when somebody says just for fun, it's okay. I mean, there's no commitment here. It's just for fun, which is what we're in this for. So, if it's your first time in the store, how'd you hear about us? You ever ride a Pedego before? Somebody comes in and hey, I got a flat. No problem. Just count them. No problem. If your first time here, how'd you hear about us? I saw your sign. Okay. You saw our sign. Click. And you ever ride a Pedego before? No. Because the whole point of getting more bobs isn't necessarily that I'm not going to necessarily influence absolutely everybody to become a buyer. It's 5 words. Who do you know who? Who do you know who that could use one of these? Because, like, for example, the triathlete who's a spandex wearing Lycra hat backwards, e-bikes are for cheaters. Hey, just for fun, I'd love to get your feedback. Because I know, who do you know who would be able to hop on a Pedego to be able to keep up with you? Because you're a beast. Like, you are such an athlete. Who do you know who that has a problem with ankles, knees, hips, spine, heart, or lung that would love to be able to ride and keep up with you? Or who do you know who that could use something like this to be able to go to work as a commuter product, as a replacement to their car? Who do you know who, right? It only happens when you get butts on bikes. So, critical component. I love it. And I think it's great. Like that, Kathy, those numbers are big. Absolutely great. So, you've got 2 types of customers. And I want to create our customer avatar. So, who is your customer at Pedego 58? And I say there's 2 customers. We're going to have your buyer of Pedegos, and then you're going to have the renter of all bikes, not just electric. Or do you want to be able to focus it just on electric bikes? Because I think that there's people that are buying renting acoustic bikes that could probably afford Pedegos, or no? Yeah? All right. So we're going to call these folks here the renter. So tell me a little bit about the buyer. Who is this person? And again, I want to preface this. This is the 80-20 rule. So tell me 80% of the buying customer that comes to Pedego 58 fits this profile. So I want to know, for example, age. Are they married or couples? Are they vacationers? Are they local? What's their total household income, if you know, education level, health level, that kind of stuff. No wrong answers. Let's just talk about it so I get a better sense of what's going on.
We get a variety because this is a vacation spot.
Okay.
So we get a variety of different ages and everything.
Yeah.
So, and because we have here on Emerald Isle, we have $1 million, $2 million houses. We also have trailer parks here.
Yeah.
So we
Okay.
have a bit of everybody, young, old, rich, poor, everybody.
Do you have a profile though? Like, I mean, if you were to say the average, like if you were the majority, even if it's like 51% of the people are this, what would it be? Like, are they do they own a second home? They're coming from the north and they come in? Or is it they're vacant? Because again, I'm just looking at the buyer versus the renter. We'll do two different profiles. And there's no wrong answer, but I definitely want to have an age range. So let's start with this. What's their age range? Is it 18?
I would say that the overwhelming majority is 50 plus.
Thank you. Okay. Are they couples or are they single?
Couples.
They're couples. Okay. As far as health, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being that they're going to the grave, 10 that they're Olympic medalists, they got to go somewhere. Where do they sit from a health perspective? Where are they on the scale?
The 50 pluses,
Yeah.
I would say, are you saying 10 being better or worse?
Yeah. Yeah. This is like incredibly healthy. Like they look 30 years younger than their actual age. And then they're basically going to be dead tomorrow.
Maybe a 4 or 5, I would
Yeah.
say.
Would Carly and Shelley, would you agree? Yes. Shelley, you can also give me a thumbs up on your reaction of the screen, so you can do that.
I'm here now.
Great.
I agree. I think they're older. I don't know about foot in the grave. Again, I haven't sold one yet, but from what I've noticed about the clientele that are interested or that Kathy and Carly have sold to, they're definitely older.
Okay. So again, I'm looking at an average in terms of their health.
Yeah. I mean, healthy. I've never seen anybody that, I don't know, just probably a 5, like just mid-healthy.
Okay. What do you think, Carly? Do you agree? About 5, 4, 5?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, the sales that I've made with the Pedegos, I mean, they've been couples. Most of them have had second homes on Emerald Isle. And they just, I mean, Emerald Isle's huge. They just want to be able to, explore the island and stuff and have the comfort and the fun of the, electric bike and stuff. So
yeah.
I think there's younger couples that are interested in them just because they see how much fun people have. So I don't think that they're restricted to a particular age. I think, we do get a lot of older people in. I mean, we had somebody in the other day that was like 73 and he was, looking into one and stuff for health reasons. But there's a number of people that, just want them because they're fun. Especially the gorilla position. I mean, it's one of those. It's a mean beast.
And I appreciate you bringing that up. And one of the questions that I like to ask, again, I do 3 questions first, and I get them on the bike. I cut to the chase, and I quickly do. First time in the store. How'd you hear about us? You ever ride a Pedego before? Let's go. Just for fun, come with me. I go first, and the reason I go first is. Feel free to answer, ladies. When somebody comes back from a rental or even an extended test ride, what gear is the bike in? Anybody know?
Jen, go ahead, Carly.
No, when the bikes come back from a test ride, did you say?
Yeah, a long test ride or a rental. What gear is it?
I was going to say, if they come back from a rental or anything, we don't really deal with that. That's the warehouse because they check it out. For the test rides I've done, it's just a case of, round the parking lot, so they're not.
Perfect. And I agree with you 100%. Here's what I've experienced in other stores is they'll get somebody on a, Matthew?
So
Go ahead.
When I check in a Pedego coming into the warehouse, I don't I haven't necessarily paid attention to what gear it's in, but I tend to put it in 4 so that our target demo can ride easily on their next one. See, Joe,
Thank
I
you.
listened to you when you've talked to me before.
Attaboy. I love that guy.
He doesn't
Here's-
listen to us, but he listens to you.
That's great. So here's what I mean. In so many locations that I've visited, people get on a bike. If I'm using the phone here as the example, they get on the bike, and the first few feet that they start to ride before the pedal assist kicks in, it's not smooth. It's usually the bike's wobbling a little bit before you get the velostrophic effect of the wheel turning. And then, of course, it helps you stay upright. Because a bike's natural position is like this. If you're stopping, it's going to fall over unless you get that velostrophic effect. So the whole point is when somebody rides a Pedego, they'll usually put it up, hey, look at Shelly. What ends up happening is somebody goes for this extended ride or a rental, and they come back, and the bike is in 7th gear, which obviously, you know, is harder to 7th, or if you're on a platinum or black edition or a Ridge Rider, you'll be in 10th gear. So it's harder to pedal it at first. And I will tell you, what Pedego Corporate recommends as far as how to test ride a bike and how to demo a bike, I go about it differently. So, you know, some people, they recommend the first thing that you show is the throttle. I disagree with that. And I'm just giving you my own information. Use it as, you know, like as you will. I want to lower the probability of somebody saying, of throwing any objection at me during a demonstration. I want to help people live a better quality of life through the benefits of total health and exercise. And so pedal assist is an added benefit of getting them to rotate the pedals. And what's interesting is a lot of people, when they first try a Pedego, they go, oh, you've got to pedal it, as opposed to here's the throttle, and they go, oh, well, that's cheating. So I want to eliminate that. The throttle, to me, I love the throttle, don't get me wrong, but the throttle's the bonus. It's the added bonus feature that you can talk about. The first thing I do is, so again, go back to those first 3 questions. I acknowledge, you're going to hear me say this a lot because I want to pound it home. Hey, folks, be with you in a quick moment. 10 seconds goes by. First time in the store? Yeah, I'm just looking. Yeah, no sweat, no sweat. Have a look around. Just quickly, though, how did you hear about us? Saw you online. Where specifically? Facebook. Great. Hey, have you ever ridden in Pedego before? No, you haven't? Oh, my God. Just for fun. Play your A game. Just for fun. Come with me. I'll show. I'm not going to ride. I go, no, I didn't say that you were riding. I said, just for fun, come with me. Let's go. I'm going first. And I go first. I take the bike that's in 10th gear or in 7th gear or wherever, which bike I have, and I downshift the bike. I pedal it, and I just go 20 yards, straight line. I turn around, straight line, and I come back. And they see the assist kick in, and they see my smile. I come back, and I'm excited. It's like, this is so much fun. You know what? Just for fun, hop on. And so I can tell you, if you're getting like a 75, Kathy, like I've got stores that are getting 90. So yeah, oh yeah. They're doing it, and I'm not like, I thought my numbers were decent. I've got other stores that are like, they're not taking no for an answer, but they're not asking people. They're saying just for fun. They felt that, and I'm just giving you again the information. The just for fun opens the door. It just opens the door for opportunities. So, you know what? Just for fun. Come on, let's go. And so you go, and I've had people literally like standing there as I'm walking out with the bike, and they're looking at me like cross-eyed going, where is he going? And it's like, let's go. And then they come with you. They just come with you. They'll walk out. And you should have a predetermined test ride space that, like, I'm not going to ask somebody, do what I do, and I walk, you know, I go around the block and they lose sight of me. I'm going literally 20 yards there and back. And if I can do this in Canada in January when it's snowing outside, and all we've done is we've moved bikes in the store so that there's enough space in the store for people to rotate the pedals literally 2 or 3 times so that the pedal assist kicks in and they understand what pedal assist is by experiencing it, you can do it there where you are. Right? There's no reason why you can't, which is great. Butts on bikes, sell bikes. You're already doing it 75. My challenge is, hey, let's get it to 90, or go for excellence, right? I'm not expecting perfection because that would be ridiculous. However, when you get them on it and you set the bike up, you're already ahead of the game. The other things that I'm sure, Kathy, you're already doing, and Shelly and Carly, I'm just going to, again, impart a couple of extra things here. Let's say somebody my mom's age comes along. She's 78. She's typical French Canadian woman, so she's about 5'1". Hey, my mom's adorable. What do you want? So what my recommendation is, I would put 3 bikes that are ready to test ride at all times, batteries in, at the ready, by the door. Not outside, by the door, so you can walk out. My 3 bikes of choice are, number 1, the Boomerang. It's not a step-through design, it's a walk-through. I don't call it a step-through, I call it a walk-through. Because, hey, anybody with health issues, ankles, knees, hips, spine, this is great. You just have to walk over it. And if a gentleman says, well, isn't that a girl's bike? It's like, you know what, sir, I appreciate you bringing that up. Back in the day, we used to call these boys' bikes and girls' bikes. Today, it's, they're step-through bikes. Everybody can ride a step-through, myself included. So I'll get on a Boomerang, and so if there's an older guy who looks at it, okay, that makes sense. And what I also do with the Boomerang, by the way, and the City Commuter, is I'll show the adjustable handlebar stem. And the way to do the adjustable handlebar stem demo correctly is make sure that you are sitting on the bike. Don't stand on the side of the bike and demo if you've got to grab the handlebars like this, it'll inevitably slip and it'll look terrible and it'll ruin your demo. Has that ever happened to you, Kathy? Where you've moved no? It's so easy I've seen people do it where they go to the side of the bike and they have somebody sitting on the bike and they're trying to adjust it. If you demo it first, where you're sitting straight on the bike, you push the button with your left thumb, you raise the lip by about 1/2 inch, and then it becomes loose. Then you grab the handlebar and raise it up all the way. Now you've got full control, then you lock it. So what I do in my demo is, again, hey folks, be with you in a quick moment. First time in the store. How'd you hear about us? Measure it. You ever ride a Pedego? You haven't? Oh my God, awesome, just for fun, come with me. I go first, downshift it, come back. So I've downshifted it like Matthew would put it to 4th. I typically go 2nd or 3rd gear because I'm not going far. And I'll put it in pedal assist level 1 or 2, depending on the age of the client. If it's somebody my mom's age, I'll ask her, so sir or ma'am, when was the last time you rode a bike? And if they say it's been 40 years, I'll say, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to turn the electricity off. I'll turn the unit right off, and then I'll put it to 1st gear. Because if they can't ride it safely in 1st gear, I would say, you know what, folks, I just don't think this is for you. I am not going to sell something to somebody that's going to put them in harm's way. I've seen stores I've had stores tell me flat out, no, Joe, we're going to sell them at all costs. They'll eventually learn. And I'm like, no. There's a thing called proprioception as we age. It's a question of balance. Unless they practice on a BOSU ball or a stability ball, you don't want to have them practicing at like 4 or 5 or 10 miles an hour on a Pedego. It's just ixnay on the Ike Bay, okay? So you're going to get roughly 1 person out of 100 that it's not the right product for them. Unless, of course, you want to show them a trike. There's your solution. The problem right now is you can't get trikes until January, is what I just heard.
I have one.
Good
we
for
have
you.
one, and the one lady that I test drove it was terrified of it. She couldn't even ride it.
Yeah.
She wouldn't even ride. I had to ride it back to the store. It was funny. But that was just her, I think. She just didn't like the way it turned or something. It
Right.
does feel weird if you're used to a regular bike.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the one thing about the trike, any trike for that matter, is when you're turning, it has the effect of wanting to, right? It can be tippy, which is why the trike only goes to 13 miles an hour versus 20.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when you sell to a couple, I've experienced this before where, Mr. or Mrs. Customer buys a bike, and then let's say her husband is on the trike and she's like, come on, hurry up. And because she's going 18 to 20 and he can't go any faster than 13. So that's just the way that it is. So it's like, well, let's develop some patience, right? As I marvel at the fact that couples actually buy tandems. I'm like, wow, that would just be therapy for my wife and I. It would never happen. Yeah, my wife's a goddess, and yeah, I would be losing my lunch. Okay, so 3 questions. Who's first time in the store? How do you hear about us? You ever ride a Pedego before? You go out first. This is critical to know how to get, those questions are critical because we want to know who our buyer is, which I'm going to come back to. Tell me a little bit about our renter. Who's our renter? Is the age range the same, or is it a little bit younger?
For the Pedego rentals,
Sure.
they're
Or either.
usually like 30s, 40s, I'd say,
Okay.
for at least from my experience.
30 to 40 on average. Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, is it safe to say here that these people, the buyer is, can we say that they're affluent? People that are buying the Pedego, for the most part. Is affluent the right word? Kathy?
Out here, Joe, honestly, it's hit and miss. I
It
mean, we have
is.
people who come in and drop 10 grand and it's nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
Charlie had that 2 weeks ago. A woman came in, spent 10 grand, bought 3 bikes.
Yeah.
And then you got people who go, oh, I mean, that's a lot of money. Today we had a couple, 6 grand. I mean, you upgrade the battery. Now you're talking almost $7,000. I don't know. We'll have to think about it. You know, we kind of run the gamut down here. We had when we were still up in New Bern, we had a couple that came in an old beat up pickup truck. And I thought, you know, they're tire kickers. They're just curious. Bought 2
Yeah.
or right then. And I delivered them 2 weeks later. And, you know, they lived in a small house and they wanted the Pedegos. So, you know, like that was their investment for the year or whatever.
Got it.
My impression.
Got it. Okay. That's great. So it's fascinating because with other stores, I've been able to ask the question, and when I ask what's the total household income, then like sometimes there's an argument, but we agree with a number. This is one of the few times that a number is going to be pretty challenging.
Tell me about it.
Okay, but we'll leave it. It's not necessary. It just helps. But I mean, because we're hearing second homes, but clearly there's people that are doing their research and they see the value in what you have to offer. And and that could also be that you have, you know, already a good salesperson that's, you know, doing the job. So I'm just going to say the value is there, is good. And I think anybody who's going to spend money on a Pedego needs to be, we're going to say, influenced and persuaded, but not manipulated into seeing the value, right? Like price is what you pay, value is what you get. And there's a ton of value in a Pedego, like a ton of value, not just in terms of the quality components, because if we go, hey, here's a Pedego bike and all its specs versus another bike with all its specs, inevitably they'll, you know, somebody will make a bike with similar specs for cheaper. You're not just getting that. You're also getting you guys. You're getting this team of people that is providing support. You're getting, you know, a team of people at Pedego Corporate that is providing support. The Pedego Owners Group, the Facebook group, and the ability to, you know, travel the nation that you live in and connect with other Pedego owners and go for rides. Like other bike brands haven't figured this shit out, pardon my French. And I'm French Canadian, so I can say that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really important. So that's neat. Anyways, tell me about your renter. 30 to 40. Are they mostly vacationers or are they locals?
I'd say mostly vacationers.
Okay. And how are you marketing to the renter? How are they finding out about you?
A lot of them are going online, I think, and just I've had people call and say, so I hear Pedegos are the way to get around the island. So I'm not sure if they're on an Emerald Isle vacation what to do site, or if they're just, you know, something that they're Googling just what's fun to do around. Like, I have no idea because
Okay.
I don't ask.
Yeah, it's fine.
So
We
it's
want to
probably
know though.
important that we do.
Yeah. It's.
Cards. He sent out a
Pardon me,
bunch of-
Kathy, say again. I'm sorry.
sent out a bunch of cards last year. And
Okay.
we had gotten a list from the previous owner of the rental bikes, the regular rental bikes.
Right, Matthew had mentioned that to me before.
When they call and they say, oh yeah, we got the card, we want to rent some bikes. Then we say, oh, well, would you like electric bikes? Or was it, oh, you have electric bikes. So that's how a lot of times they hear about it.
Got it. Got it. That helps. Okay. So the,
Actually, what I say, Joe, is do you want an electric bike or don't you want to have fun?
I like it. So acoustic to electric is what happens. Hey, so what's the cost of a rental for you on, like, is it, do you have a full day price and then an hourly rate?
24 for the day and then 40
For an acoustic bike?
Not for, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. 45 for the day. I mean, 24 for the day, 45 for 3 days, and then 60 for a week.
Okay. And then that's for the acoustic bike. What about an electric bike? What would the cost be?
50 for the day,
Cheap.
120 for 3 days, and 150 for 3 days. I mean, for a week.
So,
Wow.
Joe, to give you some framework, what Kathy gave you first was the single speed cruiser.
Yeah.
Gave you second is a full pedal assist. So a road bike, which is, you know, a 21 speed, whatever, top end acoustic bike,
Yes.
rents for 130 a week. So the pedal assist 7-speed is just eking above that. Now, we also have hybrid bikes, acoustic bikes. Those rent for $80 for the week. Those rent $80 for the week. And then the throttle only Pedegos, we rent for $85 a week. So it's just
Got it.
like right
They're
up.
close.
If you're going to do a geared bike, why not do a geared bike with throttle?
Right. What's the acoustic brand that you're bringing in to rent?
We inherited Jamis.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a good brand. Yeah, it's a very good brand.
So we're
Got it.
evaluating that for next year, but right now we're at Jamis acoustic bikes.
Were you dealing with oh my God. Well, who's your rep at Jamis?
We don't have one. We literally just bought his rental fleet. We haven't bought a new Jamis
Oh,
bike.
I see. Okay. Got it. Excellent. Well, yeah, I know a few people at Jamis, but I spoke at the CABDA show in Chicago in February before everything hit the fit hit the sham, as it were. And yeah, I met some people from Jamis, and yeah, Jamis has been around like since before Trek.
Yeah.
It's still a family-run business. Yeah, her name is I want to say it's Karen, but yeah. Anyways, cool. This helps me a lot. In your opinion, Matthew, what percentage of business from renter to buyer? Like percentage of business of total revenue of your rental side versus total revenue for buyer?
The last month, and I'm just talking revenue,
Sure.
the rental revenue was double the sales revenue for bicycles. That does not include service. It does not include retail. It's
Right.
just bikes and rentals.
Okay. Right now, I gotta do this now because it's an exercise that we're gonna do anyways. Don't worry, all this stuff sticks, so I can do this like this, and I can get back to it. One of the things that you mentioned, you've got sales, you've got service, you've got rentals. Are you currently doing tours?
We have not consistently had enough Pedegos available that we could do tours.
Okay. So, wow, I guess that's a good problem or not?
We did
Okay.
tours last fall.
Yeah.
We had every intention of doing them again this summer, but we've been lucky enough to not. I mean, like, I think we sent 5 Pedegos out today for the rest of the week. So it's
Good
just,
for you.
you can't hold them back to,
No.
do a $20 or $30 tour when you can do a 150 for the rest of the week.
Well, so what I've just put together here is, and during our training, there's going to be tasks that I'm going to, you know, we'll end up talking about, and then it's like, yeah, you know what, that's something that we need to do. And one of the things that, in fact, this was my understanding that this was originally invented by your President Eisenhower, and then it was repurposed by Stephen Covey, who wrote the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Great book if you haven't read it, loved it. And then my own coach. So even though I do coaching for people, I have a coach, and my coach is all over this, and I believe in it too. My coach, by the way, his name is Craig Ballantyne. You can look him up. He wrote The Perfect Day Formula. So he's one of the reasons now that I wake up at 5 a.m. to do what I need to do, get my magic time in. But one of the things that's as an example is, let's say you want to create more revenue. And one of the interesting ways to make revenue as a Pedego store is doing tours. Now, of course, if you're going to tour around, you're only going to charge $50 when you could rent out a bike for X, that many more dollars, then, it doesn't make any sense. So just as an example, and I'm just going to put it up here, and I'm going to call it non-urgent, okay? And I'll explain the quadrants real quickly. Urgent is, for example, hey, I've got a service ticket to get something done. It's on my urgent list. I got to get this done by like Thursday, right? I better hurry up. It's due tomorrow. An important task could be, hey, like I've got to place an order for bikes, right? A non-urgent task could be, I've got to create a food tour. I know it's good for my business. And here's the thing. These quadrants here are what move the needle to your business. This is like, I've got to get stuff done because I'm putting out fires. But when you work the stuff that are in these 2 quadrants, like that's when Pedego 58 grows. Because once you've got a food tour in place and you've designed it and you're off to the races with it, it's off your list, but now it's generating revenue. If anything, the food tour will occasionally be, hey, I've got 12 people coming on a food tour. And I will tell you that those stores that start, I don't know about you guys, but like I've paid $149 for a 2.5-hour food tour. And it was and I've taken food tours with Pedego stores, and I've taken food tours just as a walking tour. And I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know. I haven't been to Emerald Isle, so I'm not familiar, but obviously people are renting electric bikes. It's got to be reasonably big. I'm sure there's some pretty interesting restaurants to go explore. So here's the example of a food tour. And again, you could scratch it off your list. But $150 for someone who wants to go explore and stop at 5 different restaurants with a tapas-sized meal. It's not a meal. It's basically just a small plate of food that is prepaid. What ends up happening is you end up cross-pollinating with other businesses. And so people are paying you. Part of your $149 goes to the restaurants. That's fine. You're paying them per person. Now you have a tour, you're generating revenue, you're getting butts on bikes, your tour guide is reminding people how cool Pedegos are. If you're doing a tour, by the way, one of the great things about a tour is, okay, hey everybody behind me, whenever I ring my bell, make sure that you ring yours as well. I've seen people do group rides and tours where there's like 10 to 20 bikes going by and people are standing on the street corner and like ding, 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 and it's like Pedego, 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 Pedego. It just gets people's attention, which is really cool. But the other thing about a food tour is you don't have to have just one tour. You can have multiple restaurants that you go to. And Matthew, you won't be paying to go eat because you're driving test riders, but test eaters into these small restaurants. And all you've done is you set up your first 5. And you're calling them the day before, and it's like, hey, Shelby's Restaurant, just letting you know we're going to be 6 people on the tour tomorrow. I'll call you when we're about 30 minutes out. It's a preset menu. You don't let people show up and read the frickin' menu. You'll never get out of the restaurant. And your time, like, so it's, here it is for what you typically get, and then you have your vegetarian option, and that's it. And they pre-select it before they go out on the tour. This way, it's done. There's a little bit of logistics involved, but I promise you, this is big money. Like the food tour in Fort Worth, they've got a beer and bike tour. And let me clarify, it's not like they're stopping for pints of beer. They're just getting a small taster. That way you don't get people smashed on bikes, smashing bikes up.
You just lost Kathy.
All right, Kathy. But the beer tour or wine tour, like I was on with Santa Rosa, they're starting a wine tour. Napa Valley Bike Shop. They were originally a Pedego store. Now they're because they were also a specialized store. No, there's a whole rigmarole. But anyways, they do in Napa Valley, they do a ton of wine tours. And they also rent bikes with a self-guided tour. But the one with the tour guide, people pay a premium for. And then they also offer wine delivery back to the store. So there's these added values. And like guys like Brad Droping of Napa Valley Bike Shop, he goes to these great places to go drink wine. He doesn't even pay anymore because he's getting people to buy so much wine when they go visit. So it's great revenue, and it's something you could think about. And that's what's great about your non-urgent list. It's what are things that I can put on the back burner for now because I'm so busy doing other stuff. But if you showed up at, for example, 15 minutes earlier every day, and you just said, okay, I'm turning this off, I'm turning this off, and all I'm doing is I'm working on the food tour for 15 minutes, calling one restaurant, and you called up 5. In a matter of like 2 weeks, your food tour is done. And just as a hint, you can have your food tour literally look like, okay, we're leaving the store, and all of the restaurants could be all on the same street. You can go visit it, and then go for a ride, and then go to store number 2, go for a ride. And it's, I mean, people don't know where you're going. You're just going to take them out on an experience, and people will pay for the experience. So anyways, this is something that's really cool. And we're going to be reviewing your urgent, important, non-urgent, non-important over our times together. All right, we got about 20 minutes, and I'm hammering through this content, which is great. Hey, so why are your customers coming to visit you guys? So why Pedego 58?
Because we were Highway 58 before. And they know the name. That's not the only reason, but it's the familiar name from the previous owner. That's what I've found in the short amount of time I've worked there.
So the brand.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Why are people coming to visit you? Why are they coming to your store? Is it because you're the only game in town?
Yeah, we're the only bike store on the island, and people don't want to leave the island once they're there on vacation. And also, they're creatures of habit. I mean, people want to come to Emerald Isle. They've got the whole bike path. I mean, there's plenty of places to ride and stuff. They want to rent bikes and not rely on cars. And, you know, that's what they do every year. They do the same thing every year. A lot of them have the second homes, or they're renting a bunch of houses, you know, lots of different family members and stuff. It's an easy thing to do and get some exercise and explore the island.
Okay.
It's a very bike-friendly place with the bike paths, and there's bike racks all spread throughout the island. You see every day you drive on the island and you see so many people out riding bikes with their families. So
love it. Love it. Would you agree that you as a team at Pedego 58, you would be experts in what you do?
Sure.
You're experts. I'm
I
telling you.
don't claim to be an expert.
Well,
No, you know why we're not, Joe? Because the
go ahead.
changes every day.
What's that?
The computer changes every day. So that's why we're not experts, because
You're experts in serving customers though, right?
yes.
Like you're another thing that you know, I already, you know, you're friendly, you're likable, you're a great team, you're trusted advisors. I mean, there's no doubt right now, and this is why it's so important. As you know, your job is your job is to help people, to educate people. But these people that your customers are coming to Pedego 58 because they're also coming in to buy out of habit. But they're coming to buy, and they want to deal with people who perhaps, again, when I say expert, whether you've been there for 2 weeks or you've been there for 2 years, you work there. And so you're the brand within each of you is a brand within the Pedego 58 brand. In a perfect world, I know if I'm Matthew, I want people to come back. I want people to walk in and go, hey, I'm looking for Carly. Is she here? And they're like, was this your first time in the store? Yeah, it is. But they're looking for Carly. Well, that means Carly's done an unbelievable job and has impacted somebody enough to say, go to this place and ask for Carly. Oh, yeah. Right? That's quality expertise and trusted advisor space. So whether they're there to buy a rental or to buy a bike, like they're there to deal with you. And so this is why it's important to understand the why they're coming in. And it's not just, some people are there to you know, they're curious, right? How many people are actually coming in because they're I call them e-curious. Like, Kathy, have you ever had somebody walk in and go, tell me about your bikes?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
All the time.
Right. So later on, I mean, I'm going to go with this now, but later on, I've got a chapter in this that's called Dealing with Time Vampires. Right? You've got the time vampire that comes in and asks you question after question after question after question. Here's how the best way to deal with a time vampire when they say, tell me about your bikes. Even though you know, I'm sure the three of you, you're experts, or you're getting to know more about the mechanical aspects and the electrical aspects of a Pedego. Nothing beats a butt on a bike. Nothing. Tell me about your bikes. I'm glad, sir, that you asked me that question. I most certainly will. Hey, quickly though, is this your first time in the store? How did you hear about us? You ever ride a Pedego before? Just for fun, come with me. Because if the best way for me to tell you about my bikes is to get you on it. I don't know of anybody who has ever purchased a Pedego. I mean, that would be untrue. I've had a couple of customers buy, they never even rode the bike. The vast majority of people they become buyers after they test ride. So tell me about your bikes guy is somebody who is just going to waste your time, when my sense would be, like, on a busy Saturday, like, how much time have you got to be able to deal with, so tell me about your bikes. How much time have you got? Kathy, how about you? Like, well, how much time do you actually have to deal with somebody who you know is going to be taking up a little bit of your busy time when you want to get butts on bikes?
If we have another customer here, then we're not, you know, I'm not another customer. If we have if either Carly or Shelly are here,
Yeah.
we're not pressed for time.
Okay.
When we're here by ourselves, we are pressed for time, because you just
Got
don't
it.
know when somebody's going to come up wanting to rent or to have service or whatever. So
Right.
Joe, can you add me to the meeting? I'm trying to go to my phone.
Oh, you know what? I didn't see. Yeah, I didn't see you. Yeah, you're right there. Sorry, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, no sweat. I didn't realize he was trying to come in. I was so focused on what we were doing. Sorry about that, Matthew.
Oh, no worries.
All right. So the thing with the time vampire, that, again, I'm prefacing this, is one of the tools that I highly recommend that you have by your desk is your calendar. And I like the paper calendar. I still use Google Calendar, and I have my iPhone and I have it synced up to iCal, and I get that. But when I get the time vampire coming in and again, especially if I'm an army of one and I'm alone, what I want to do is, and I know that they're not going to ride, I'm going to say, and let me preface this. I have done some training with some people where their record like highly beats mine. My record for most bike sales in 4 hours is 27 electric bikes. The store there's a couple stores that are in the 30s and one that's 41. That's the record in 4 hours. Crazy number. The couple of gentlemen in particular, they're older gentlemen, they're in their 70s, so they get, like my dad, if I find that my dad gets away with saying things at 70 plus that, like, the rules don't apply, right? Kathy's going, yeah, okay. So like, I don't know why it is, but like if I said some of the stuff that these older guys would say, I would get slapped in the face. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of a saving your time vampire. I'm going ahead here in the chapters here, but again, I've jumped into it. These older guys say it, and they'll say this, you know what? You're not buying today, and these people over here might, so when you're ready, come back and see me. And they go and deal with other people. And I'm like, oh my God, that is just so abrasive. I can't deal with people that way. However, what I learned from that approach is you'll know within a few minutes, like let's say 15 to 20, if somebody's going to be actually buying today, especially if they didn't get on the bike and you've got other people in the store that you can get the bob, focus on what you can control. And so what I would say is, you know what? And it's usually, unfortunately, it's usually guys that ask a ton of, like, ladies are open to, hey, you know what, just for fun? Okay, let's go. So it's the Mr. Customer who's like, tell me about your bikes. I would say, you know what, sir, my sense is you're not buying a bike today, and that's totally okay. But these folks over here might be, and I want to get them the opportunity to test ride, and you're not looking to test ride today, and that's fine. But I'd like to be able to still help you. So I'm going to pull out my calendar. What's a good time for you to come back during the week when it's quieter so I can give you more of my attention? There's two things that end up happening here, and I've experienced this firsthand. When I say my sense is you're not buying today and that's okay, let's book a time. I get the, oh, no, I'm going to buy today. Okay, great. Then it's helped me cut to the chase, number one. Number two, if it is a true time vampire that's literally just wasting time, and I've got other people that might be, I'm still being polite, and they'll say, well, you know what, I'm not sure if I want to come back or not. Then I would say, well, why don't I invite you to come over with these folks, and I'm going to get them to, just for fun, to try bike. And I'll go to the other people. I'll invite Mr. Customer to come with me and say, hey folks, first time in the store, how'd you hear about us? You ever ride Pedego before? Just for fun, come with me. And everybody comes out, including Mr. Time Vampire. I've actually converted the person who says, I'm not riding today, to the other person or people just for fun tried it, and then, oh, okay, I'll try it. And then they get on, and that changes everything. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Cool. Absolutely awesome. All right. We got about 10 minutes. And I usually extend my call times with people, but I'm actually cooking Shauna's birthday dinner, and we have guests coming over. So I swear to God, like tomorrow, I'll spend more time with you if you want, no sweat. But I've got stuff in the sous vide, and I got to start the barbecue, and it's like, yeah. So otherwise, I would be like totally on game. But yeah, priorities. It is what it is. So here's the next question. What's the target? And Matthew, you might want to be, if you can still hear me, you can give me some feedback on this. What's your target for this season for growth? Matthew, are you there? You're muted right now.
Yeah, the target for sales is was 25.
25 bikes a month?
No, Joe, 25 bikes, period. We sold 11 last year.
I'm not privy to your numbers, so I have, like, I'm zero. Yeah, okay. So your target for this year was 25. Where is it now?
I think we're at 15 now.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that we would have already surpassed 25 if we had the inventory in stock.
I agree.
Great.
I agree. So what's your, when do you shut it down? Per se, at Emerald Isle for the season?
Our experience last year, and this is all of year 2. Our experience last year was it drops off precipitously after Labor Day.
Yes.
We get a little trickle through September, and then surprisingly, Thanksgiving and Christmas weeks, you get people, coming down to their own beach house, not renters per se, but owners. And then we did some Christmas sales last year, and
Awesome.
Pedego is bringing out the element in the fall, and I think that'll really help us with those fall sales. I think that price point and that product are.
We lost you for a quick second there, Matthew, but I'm thinking what you said was that price point and that product is really going to push things. Is that correct? Yep. Are you there?
That's exactly right. Yes.
Okay. So what do you think? So again, putting it out there, and let me just preface this. I don't want you to talk about the element to anybody. Ixnay on the element until you have it, like it's on the way in a truck, because for the experience that I've had with every bike company that I've been involved with, from ProCycle, Trek, BH, and even Pedego, they say they're going to get a bike by one time, and they can't control the manufacturing facility because, generally speaking, whether the components are getting, like they're getting like from Shimano or batteries or frames, something can happen somewhere where things get delayed. And if you tell someone, I'm going to get this bike by, October 1st, it's January 1. So, and that's terrible because you don't need bad reviews. So just my suggestion is don't tell anybody about the element yet, because all you're doing is you're delaying sales. What you want to do is you want to do this. And this stands for, SWAT stands for sell what's available today. And I'm not suggesting that we sell things I'm not ramming product down people's throats. That's not what I'm talking about. What's available today is what have you got in inventory? And what does Pedego have in inventory? And Kathy's going, nothing.
We've got a platinum interceptor, we've got a trike, and we've got 2 latches.
Two latches. Okay. So a platinum interceptor, a trike, and 2 latches. That's what you have in stock right now.
That's what I'm looking at right now. That's all we have.
Wow. It's a good and a bad problem.
I had a couple in today that were ready to buy, but they wanted to buy the boomerang. They were looking at 2 interceptors, and she was sold on a 24-inch interceptor. But then when they saw the boomerang in the book, they were like, oh, this is more for us. They're 67 and 68 years old.
Yeah.
And they just said, you know what, until we can try the boomerang, let's hold off on buying. It's too big of an investment if, the boomerang is better for us.
That's really interesting. Matthew, I muted you just because we were getting a little bit, I was at least getting a little bit of background noise. I was having a hard time hearing Kathy. My question to you then, Matthew, as the grand poobah of the group, would be what's your target for the year now based on the information that you have? Assuming that the element comes in, which is fine. Again, my suggestion is we don't tell people about the element based on current inventory status, COVID, your experience in terms of sales history. What would be, and I'll unmute you, what would be hopefully that unmutes. Let's try that. There we go. Matthew, what would be your number that you'd like to see? If 25 was the number, what's the number for the year now?
I think that 30 is attainable, assuming we can get the inventory in. Over the next few weeks, we do have a few bikes coming in, and I'm also including in that number the rental bikes that we decide are eligible for sale at the end of the season. Okay. And we take $300 or $500 off of them, get them out in people's hands.
Well,
So that's, essentially triple last year, which
good for you,
I
man.
would be, ecstatic with right now.
What's your view on rental bikes? Do you do are these bikes that you bring in and you rotate them every year? You just keep them for a season and rotate them, or do you hang on to them longer?
Well, we didn't rent them a lot last year. I mean, we did
Yeah.
okay, but not great. And so this is their second year for most of them.
Okay.
I don't think we added anything to the rental fleet this year that's jumping out in my mind.
Okay. Yeah, one of the challenges that's happening in other areas, and I was speaking with another location this week, and here, this is crazy. They were selling off their rental fleet, and then they ran out of the store as a whole. All they are is a Pedego store. They have 5 bikes, and they have no rental bikes right now. So they've had these record sales, but now they're not making money.
Right. That's why we didn't sell off the rental fleet earlier in the season, because we can't get any butts on bikes if we have no bikes. I
Correct.
think with rental fleet, we can get people on the bike and they can talk about ordering in the future. I mean, Kathy sold 2 boomerangs in May that just one of the 2 of them just shipped this week. The other one's hopefully shipping next week. So they're going to wait almost 2.5 months to get their bikes. But if they hadn't gotten to test ride them, no way in hell they would have bought them.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so I'm glad that you're putting out. We're going to finish with the target, because here's the thing: if we don't have a target that's, known, if you don't set it, you're not going to reach it. And I can tell you, I honestly believe you can crush this number. Like, I think you can crush this number based on what we're going to do here, and based on the team that you have. I mean, you honestly, Matthew, congratulations, man. Like, I know that you probably haven't been privy to the whole conversation, because I know you've been doing some other things, but I've learned a lot about your location and the people that you work with. This is, this is a good step up from you from New Bern, isn't it?
Yeah. We've got. I mean, Kathy worked with us in New Bern a little bit. Before focusing on Emerald Isle, but yeah, I mean the beach is definitely better for us.
That's awesome. I'm missing out on what you're saying, Matthew. Ladies, oh, there we go.
Sonny brought in a team really great.
He sounds like a robot.
People who dove in and are learning everything they can about this wide. I was just saying, Sonny brought in a great group of people that have really put in work to learn these bicycles and learn all the.
I'm getting about every other word from you, Matthew. I apologize. I don't know if I'm alone on that. Carly and Shelley, are you hearing it or no?
Yeah, we can't hear it either.
No.
Sorry, Matthew. What I did hear though was Sonny with the company before, or was Sonny a new addition to the team after the rental company was purchased, or the rental? Kathy,
Sonny's my husband.
Oh, so I didn't know. Yeah, I'm completely oblivious. No, that makes sense.
3 months after I was hired, Matthew was for a manager. And so he offered the job to Sonny. He was managing New Bern and Emerald Isle.
Got it.
And we ended up shutting New Bern. So then when we were just about done the summer, that's when the rental fleet for the regular bikes became available. So we took the whole thing on like August 15th of last year. So
yeah, I had visited the New Bern location shortly after they opened, and I met Joe and I met Matthew's father, and I mean, and this was right after they had, the devastation of the hurricane. So it was challenging back then, but based on everything that I learned when I was there and based on everything that I'm hearing on this call, yeah, this is clearly a step up. And also having, again, it's having the right people. So I think that when why Pedego 58, it's because of you. It's all of you that are on this call. It's awesome. So tomorrow we're gonna every day I do a review, again, because we're gonna hammer things into your subconscious mind so that it becomes muscle memory. And then tomorrow we're gonna take the Army of One a few steps further. We may very well delve into, I wanna hear about your objections that you hear often. That's one of the things that I love, because I know I'm doing a lot of talking now. Eventually it's gonna be all you, and I'm just gonna be working with you. So, but that's part of training. And we'll talk about stretching out of our comfort zones, because when we stretch out of our comfort zones, we make happy clients, and when we have happy clients, we are making money. So it's win-win, and that's got to be win-win. So this was great. I appreciate you all very much hopping on the call, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We're on tomorrow at 1:30 Central, so that'd be 2:30 your time, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, guys. Thanks very much. I gotta get cooking. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Bye. See you
Bye.
tomorrow. Bye.